the Babylon Bee put out a headline, and the headline says this: DeSantis kicked out of Republican Party for accomplishing too many things. So there's the joke. And, it's an amusing joke. It's not laugh out loud hilarious. I don't think they intend it to be. I don't think you're going to fall over, fall out of your chair laughing, but it's amusing. It's an amusing joke. You see that joke and you're like, yeah, okay, it's good. Okay. And you get the point, you get the joke. It's fine. It's fine. It's amusing. Fine joke. DeSantis is one of the few effective elected Republicans in the whole country, and yet he is now despised by a certain portion of the base. And that's the joke. And the joke is like the reality of that fact is not funny at all, because that is in fact what's happening to DeSantis. But the joke is kind of funny, and so you see that and you move on. But people have not moved on. In fact, this article is being shared all over Twitter by conservatives who are offended by it. And there are many examples of this. I'll just give you one. This is from a guy named Gabe Guardini, and this has 800 likes. He says, "It seems like the primary objective of the people of the Babylon Bee is to subvert the American right as much as possible until we finally wake up and cut the cord on them." So a lot of those kinds of comments. And the other thing to understand is that the Babylon Bee has been the subject of a lot of anger from the right over the past months, and for jokes that are, often similar in nature, with kind of a similar target of the joke. And so I just want to say this, as someone who has myself been made fun of by the Babylon Bee like 10 times, okay? I'm sure there are individual people who have been made fun of more often by the Babylon Bee than me, but I'm probably in the top 5, or at least the top 10, in terms of the number of times I've been the target of mockery by them. And in every case I could think of, I always thought, yeah, it's pretty funny, right? It is incredibly cringy and lame to get offended by satire, especially when it's from the Babylon Bee. And I'm not saying that you have to find the Babylon Bee funny. You don't have to find anything funny. I see stuff online all the time that is supposed to be funny, but I don't think it's very funny. I've seen plenty of headlines from the Babylon Bee that's like, okay, I get the joke you're going for. I don't think it really landed. They're not all going to land. And then, you see that and you carry on with your day. The problem is when you cross your arms, right, and you actually say out loud in an angry way, that's not funny. That's not funny. Like when you do that, it's one thing to say, that's not really funny. But that's not funny. That's 2 different ways of saying that's not funny. The second way is that's a dangerous position to put yourself in. And just to clarify, the danger is that you come off like a humorless dork. And that's dangerous. It's strategically dangerous, I guess, is what I should say. Because here's the issue. One of the huge cultural disadvantages that the left is dealing with right now is that they are humorless, that they aren't funny. And they used to be, right? Many people have pointed this out because it's true. They used to be funny. They're not funny anymore. And this is true collectively. It's also true, it's interesting to look at on individual cases. We know the left collectively, liberals, used to be funny. But then you look at individual, like take, for example, somebody like Seth Rogen, let's say, okay? Now, he has not done or said anything funny in years. When was the last time Seth Rogen put out a funny film? It's been a long time. He's lame and unfunny now. But back in the early 2000s, from 2002 to whatever, maybe 2013 or so, there's a good 10-year stretch there where he starred in or he wrote several very funny movies. And he was liberal back then. And a lot of these movies, they didn't have like a far left message, but the fact that all the people making these films were liberals comes through in the film. And but still, it was funny. But not anymore. He's not funny anymore, and he can't be. And why is that? Partly it's that the left is so beholden to their own ideological rules that it rules out comedy, because you can't follow the rules that society has set up while at the same time looking back at those rules and making fun of them, which is one of the main things that comedy is supposed to do. So there's that. I've been very clear and outspoken in my stance that abortion is undoubtedly evil and should be illegal in all circumstances. I'm also aware of the indoctrination and pro-abortion propaganda pushed by public schools and other liberal institutions You all have heard their lies that a baby in the womb is just a clump of cells. A woman's reproductive rights include termination of pregnancy if the baby's life is an inconvenience to her, they tell us. And then there's the quality of life argument that abortion is somehow justified because the mother doesn't have the means to take care of her baby. I don't think these people actually know what they're saying. Our society needs a massive overhaul when it comes to understanding and helping young women and help them understand the inherent value of life and the duty and joy of motherhood. That's why an organization like Preborn is so critical. Preborn covers all the bases for new, soon-to-be mothers, particularly ones considering abortion. Preborn meets women with compassion, encouragement, and understanding. They provide women with the tools they need to choose life for their baby. Not only do they introduce women to their baby through ultrasound, but they also provide education about pregnancy as well as 2 years of financial support for women who choose life. And they do all this at no cost to the mother. Help make a difference in the fight against abortion by supporting organizations like Preborn. Donate $28, the cost of one ultrasound, and help save a life today. To donate securely, dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Or go to preborn.com/Matt. That's preborn.com/Matt. The other thing that makes them unfunny now, though, is that they take themselves too seriously. And they take everything too seriously. It's why, we're so used to it now that maybe it doesn't even quite register on us, but it is actually kind of dumbfounding that they can't manage to tell a funny joke about Donald Trump. These late night hosts that are constantly talking about Donald Trump, but rarely do they tell a funny joke about him, which seems impossible. Like, it seems impossible that you could fail so many times. That you could have someone like Stephen Colbert who has told, 500 or maybe 5,000 Trump jokes, and not a single one is funny. How is that possible? There's Trump himself is funny. He's funny intentionally. He's funny unintentionally. Like, there's so much there that so much material there. And yet they can't manage to be funny about him. You look even back at SNL in the early days of Trump's presidency until, I can't remember the guy, the new guy they have now, or the last couple of years, they got a guy who does a Trump impression that's actually funny. But before, they had, Alec Baldwin doing the worst Trump impression anyone has ever seen. And it wasn't remotely funny because Alec Baldwin and they hate Trump so much. And they take him so seriously, or they insist that we should take him so seriously as like a fascist dictator threat, as Hitler, incarnate or reincarnated. And because of that, it's like, no, we can't really tell jokes. It's so serious. We can't joke about it. Now, they bring in this new guy, and it's clear that, I don't know anything about the guy's politics. I assume he's probably liberal, but it's also clear to me that he does not hate Trump. Because to do a good impression, you have to, and I believe Norm Macdonald pointed this out, I'm sure he did at some point, that in order to do a good impression, you have to have some kind of affection for the person you're doing the impression of. Otherwise, all that comes through is contempt and hatred. And it's not going to be funny. Because there's nothing funny about that. It's just bitter and resentful. No one laughs. But anyway, that's the problem for the left right now. It's why they're not funny. It's everything too serious. Obviously, as we know, they're too sensitive, but at the same time, they take everything so seriously. They take themselves so seriously. They can't make fun of themselves. And so they're humorless scolds, and they're a bunch of nerds, and it's lame. And that creates an opportunity. It creates an opportunity on the right that the left has, think about the opportunity it creates. The left has thrown up their hands and said, we're not doing this anymore. We're not telling jokes anymore. We're giving up on being funny. We're not going to be, we don't want it. And so the whole world of comedy is just lying there, waiting for someone to say, okay, well, if you don't want to be, we'll take that. It's such an effective tool. Not to mention, it just makes life more enjoyable. And what I'm afraid of is that on the right, we will flub this massive opportunity by making the same exact mistake. We don't have the same politics, but the same central mistake of taking ourselves way too seriously and taking everything too seriously. And that's what you see with this Babylon Bee thing. Again, the point is not that this Babylon Bee joke about Ron DeSantis was hilarious and we should all be, we can't even catch our breath. We're laughing so hard at it. That's not the point. The point is that, to get mad about it It just shows you take your, yeah, okay, right. That's a joke that's targeted at it's targeted at Trump supporters. Fine, it's okay. Like you need to be, you can't take yourself that seriously that you take the time to complain about about a joke from, it's like the most inoffensive, sanitized joke imaginable. And if that makes you angry enough to say so publicly, then it just shows that you take yourself so seriously that there's no way you could be funny yourself. You can't be. It kind of disturbs me to see that, because I think we're going to flub the opportunity. And it's different too. I mean, I even think, you think back to 2016 and the sort of Trump's still a funny guy. He always has been. But Trump supporters in 2016 was a very exuberant, very funny, didn't take itself too seriously. And there's still some of that, but there's also this. There's these people, the types that angrily quote tweet the Babylon Bee, that make the Babylon Bee trend on Twitter, because this has happened multiple times now, where the Babylon Bee is trending on Twitter because people are offended at a joke, but it's not the left that's offended. You click on the trend, you're like, what's going on? What do they do this time that people are mad about? And then you see a bunch of freaking conservatives complaining. And you just, oh my gosh. We can't do this, guys. It's not a good look. It's terrible. So please stop. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.